Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to talk about some of the strategy I use in developing little pines like this. A little bit of a close-up here. So this tree, honestly can't remember, is either 2 or 3 years old, probably 3 and a little bit slower growing than it ought to be. But as you can see, I've got it planted over this rock and the roots are not really firmly attached yet. So they're wrapping around and pretty nicely attached to the rock. When I put it on there, most likely as a 1-year-old, there was an auxiliary kind of container around here, and then I removed that. And after I removed it, I wrapped these wires around the roots to try to pull them in closer to the rock, particularly in these kinds of places. Now, I just picked this up while I was out in the yard because I looked at it and I thought to myself, okay, I've got all of these nice little buds down here that are really close to my stone and can make like a nice little tree over the course of the next few years. But the problem that I'm looking at is that this extension that's up here and growing nicely for this year, which we want to keep, but I don't want to cut this off. I don't want to decandle this year because that will slow down the bulking of both the roots and this section of the trunk, which I want to keep. And I can see also that the wire is biting in a little bit here. But the key problem here is that I've bent the trunk this way, and then there's kind of a curve like that. And then this bud that was really strong was facing straight up. And that's a problem. So I never want to make a cut that's flat, like horizontal to the soil, because those cuts are more difficult to incorporate into the composition and ultimately in the long run make the bonsai look nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this wire, and this is a really simple operation. It's only going to take 5 minutes, but it's going to make the difference between this tree having a major flaw and the tree being really just set on its way in terms of how to develop it in the next few years. I took the smaller wire that was off. It's actually the same wire that was wrapping around the roots, and I just kind of bent it down here. I didn't even bother cutting it off. I really don't care aesthetically what this looks like right now. It looks like a complete mess. There's this wire wrapped around and there's brown bracts on here and stuff. But basically what I've done is I was very careful to not knock off all of these buds, and even smaller than these guys, there are tiny little buds here that have come out in various places that are going to be important options for me in the future. So I was very careful to put that new wire back on and go in between those buds, not knock them off, so that I have those options as I move forward with this plant. Now, this curve right here, it's kind of going up and then coming towards the camera and then going that way, and then going a little bit away from the camera and back up. I could use this as a cut point. So I'm envisioning that this would be the front of the tree eventually, because I like this little cavity in the rock right here being visible. And that means that having a cut point back here to the back would be fantastic, except I lose all of that movement that I've put in there. So the other problem is that if I leave all of this sacrifice branch sticking straight up, it's going to continue to get stronger and stronger and shade out these buds. So this is a really simple operation. Like I said, all I'm going to do, I've added the wire here. Let me just pan up here. I've also got like a tall tail on the wire. And that is just extra wire. I'm going to leave it on there. I don't care that it's sticking up. But I'm not going to wrap that green new growth yet because it hasn't really hardened off. The needles are still emerging. So the simple thing I'm doing here basically is giving myself some more movement in this section and bringing that sacrifice branch down. So bringing the sacrifice branch down and pointing it kind of towards the back is going to give me more options. And the other thing it's going to do is it's going to encourage these buds that are here to start to fill out more so that I get more dispersed growth rather than just this one large branch going straight up. I'm going to have a bunch of more buds coming out here, and then I can decide whether or not I want to decandle those to start creating the structure here while I use the sacrifice branch to continue creating wood and making the roots grasp the rock completely. Okay, so now that looks like some sort of hurricane happened to this tree, but basically, just like I said, I have now, so from the front here, about right in there, I now have two potential cut points, or a range of potential cut points, maybe is a better way to say it. So I've got these little buds down in here that I can use, or I can use any part of this now basically as the cut point. And I really want to emphasize that planning out ahead, giving yourself that cut point for your sacrifice branch is going to be really important if you want to kind of save time, not have to work extra years on creating the taper or covering over large wounds. This isn't going to be a really big tree, so in the end the wound might be less than an inch after it's grown out for a few more years. But even so, by doing this, I'm probably going to get more needle buds just volunteering out of here, even without cutting back the sacrifice branch. And I'm going to get these guys to take off, and I'm going to start basically creating my tree while the tree is also creating a larger trunk and more wood in the roots. All right, I hope that helps you guys. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and the same thing for suggestions for future videos. Thanks, everyone.